Hello guys, welcome to All Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Renegade Immortal based on novel. So let's start. This roar pierced the heavens. All of the disciples of the other 6 divisions were shocked. They had never seen a treasure like this before, so after hearing the unyielding roar, Wang Lin's position in their hearts went up by 1 step. Even some of the guests revealed mysterious lights in their eyes. Even some of the old monsters revealed pondering expressions. Even Sword Saint Ling Qianhu revealed a look of shock when the spirit beast appeared. Wang Lin floated in the air and shouted, "Devour him!" The spirit beast let out roar as it charged forward. Its speed was extremely fast, and it was charging toward Chen Dao. A hint of battle intent appeared in Chen Dao's eyes, and his hand formed a seal. In an instant, a purple ball suddenly appeared in his hand, and at the moment the spirit beast arrived, the purple ball in Chen Dao's hand collapsed. With a boom, the shockwave caused most of the surrounding cultivators' ears to hurt. Chen Dao stood there unmoving, but there were many holes on his clothes, making him look very disheveled. As for the spirit beast, it was pushed back several hundred feet. It shook its body and then let out another roar and charged again like crazy. This time several chains appeared on its body, and they were pulled completely straight. One end of the chains were connected to its body and the other to the war chariot. The battle intent in Chen Dao's eyes became even stronger as he laughed. What a good beast. It is interesting. With that, he simply tore off the top half of his clothes and exposed his upper body. He slapped his bag of holding and a long, black rope appeared in his hand. This rope was like a living creature. The moment it appeared, there was a fishy smell, and it emitted a desolate aura. Beast, my earth dragon tendon survived on a demonic planet by itself for 500 years. It was extracted from a dead demonic dragon. I want to see if you can escape from this dragon tendon. With that, he took a step forward and swung the dragon tendon directly at the spirit beast, all while ignoring Wang Lin. The spirit beast let out a roar and charged out. It dodged the dragon tendon, appeared next to Chen Dao in an instant and attempted to devour him. Chen Dao let out a laugh, then his body flickered and he moved out of the way. He moved the dragon tendon at an impossible angle and wrapped it around the spirit beast's neck in an instant. At the same time, Chen Dao moved himself on top of the spirit beast's head. He viciously grabbed the dragon tendon and said, "Beast, I want to see where you're going to run to now." Wang Lin's expression was still calm. He raised his hand and started making seals, then he pointed at the war chariot and softly said, "War chariot, 5th seal, release." With that, a flash of black light appeared in Wang Lin's hand, and at the same time, the giant spirit beast suddenly trembled. Shortly after, a never-before-seen fierceness appeared in the spirit beast's eyes. It suddenly raised its head and let out a fierce roar. Not only did this roar contain its unyielding nature, it was filled with the joy of being released after being trapped for tens of thousands of years. Back when Wang Lin obtained the war chariot, he also got the inheritance to use it properly. However, he was too weak, and it was more likely for it to devour him before even injuring the enemy. That's why Wang Lin had never opened the seals on the war chariot. Today was the first time he opened the first of the 5 seals, causing its power to increase drastically. The god-slaying war chariot was something that could slay celestial gods, so how could it be so weak? Once all 5 seals have been released, its power will be unimaginable. However, with Wang Lin's current cultivation, even just opening the first seal was very dangerous. If he couldn't control it, then what awaited him was the backlash from the war chariot. However, because his cultivation had reached the mid-stage of soul transformation, he had some confidence, or else he wouldn't have so easily decided to release the seal. Not only did the aura of the spirit beast change when the first seal was released, but the fierce spikes on the chariot itself also began to change. Those spikes began to move and grew even longer, making them look even fiercer than before. There were also waves of black light coming from the spikes. The black light moved along the chains and entered the spirit beast's body. The spirit beast let out a crazy roar, and its body suddenly grew several times larger, from few dozen feet to few hundred feet. It stood there as a towering beast and violently shook its body. For the first time, Chen Dao, who was standing on it, suddenly had a change of expression. Waves of black light came out from the spirit beast and rushed toward Chen Dao. Chen Dao held the dragon tendon with one hand and formed a seal with this other hand as balls of purple light appeared around him. As the black light rushed in, the balls of purple light all collapsed. Among the thunderous explosions, Chen Dao let out a muffled groan. At this moment, the spirit beast's giant body was covered by the black light. Then the spirit beast suddenly scattered into rays of black light as if its body had collapsed. In the end, there was only the dragon tendon holding nothing, and Chen Dao, who had an ugly expression on his face. Before him were rays of black light spinning in a circle. In almost the blink of an eye, the rays of black light reformed into the giant spirit beast 100 feet away from Chen Dao. After opening the first seal, the spirit beast no longer relied solely on devouring to attack, it could now use some of its innate abilities. Although Chen Dao's expression was ugly, the battle intent in his eyes became even stronger. He suddenly turned around to look at Wang Lin and gloomily said, "Junior apprentice brother, you now have the qualifications to be my junior apprentice brother. However, those qualifications have a price." Wang Lin stared at Chen Dao and slowly said, "You don't have the qualifications to be my senior apprentice brother." Chen Dao looked at Wang Lin, laughed, and said, "Fighting this beast is going to waste a bit of time, but as long as I capture you, this beast won't be able to run." The opponent was an ascendant cultivator, so Wang Lin knew that he wasn't a match, but he couldn't just give up like this. Even if he loses, he wanted this person to know that he shouldn't be messed with. At this moment, Chen Dao rushed over. Wang Lin's expression was calm, and he didn't move at all. Instead, he raised his right hand. This time, he extended his pinky. Sichu Nan hesitated for a very long time before finally teaching Wang Lin the last of his 3 killing spells. Sichu Nan told him in a very serious tone not to casually use this spell before he reaches the late stage of soul transformation. If he tries to use it at the early stage of soul transformation, before it even harms the enemy, he will experience backlash that an early stage soul transformation cultivator can't withstand. Only after reaching the mid-stage of soul transformation can he barely use it, but he shouldn't use its full power, or else he will still suffer from backlash. Even at the late stage of soul transformation, he will have to be careful when using this 3rd killing spell. Only after he reaches the ascendant stage can he use this spell as he wishes. Wang Lin's right pinky pointed at Chen Dao. At this moment, there was no celestial spiritual energy left in his body, and even his life aura was slowly disappearing. There was now no life left in his body. This scene shocked a majority of the surrounding cultivators. Even the All-Seer's eyes became serious as he took a closer look. Sword Saint Ling Jianhu stared at Wang Lin and revealed a mysterious smile. This child is not bad. Of the surrounding cultivators, there was a red-faced old man with a giant red gourd behind his back. He let out an alcoholic burp as he looked at Wang Lin and muttered, "Why does this spell look exactly the same as the one used by that madman I met on the way here?" When Chen Dao was 5 feet away from Wang Lin, he was suddenly overcome with a feeling of danger that he hadn't felt in a very long time. The last time he felt this was when he was facing some old masters. At this moment, all of Wang Lin's life aura disappeared. Only his eyes were bright, but they were filled with the coldness of death. This gaze caused Chen Dao to be shocked. What kind of gaze is this? Even those that cultivate the ruthless Dao can't have this kind of gaze. Wang Lin softly said, "Underworld Finger?" Underworld Finger was the last of Sichu Nan's killing spells. Cultivating this spell is not like the other 2 spells, both of which can be learned through comprehension. This 3rd spell can only be learned after cultivating the Underworld Ascension method and using it to enter the Underworld. Only after experiencing the transition between life and death can one comprehend this spell. Back then, Sichu Nan was able to gain enlightenment in the transition between life and death while cultivating the Underworld Ascension method, then he combined it with the Celestial spell to create this killing spell. Sichu Nan once proudly bragged that although the power of this spell wasn't as strong as that broken Celestial spells, it couldn't be far off. It is because of this that this spell requires one to reach the Ascendant stage before they can freely use it. With a point of his pinky, the sky suddenly darkened and streaks of lightning suddenly flew across it. At the same time, the sky seemed to be opened by a pair of giant hands, and a giant mountain and river scroll appeared in the sky. This Underworld Finger activated Wang Lin's domain. Waves of grey gas came out of the scroll like crazy and began to gather at an unimaginable speed, forming a second Underworld Finger. Some of the surrounding cultivators exclaimed, "Life and Death Domain." At this moment, all of the cultivators' gazes landed on Wang Lin. The 2 Underworld Fingers moved extremely quickly toward Chen Dao. The battle intent in Chen Dao's eyes intensified as his body flickered and he raised both of his hands. 2 separate half-moon-shaped golden lights appeared in his palms. At the moment the Underworld Fingers arrived, he blocked both of them. A heaven-shattering sound echoed from before Chen Dao's body. The sky seemed to be torn by a tornado, and the life and death domain disappeared. Wang Lin's body backed up several dozen feet and then he backed up another several hundred feet before he coughed out a mouthful of blood. The celestial spiritual energy in his body was a complete mess as he looked up at Chen Dao and gloomily said, "I give up." As for Chen Dao, his expression was normal as he withdrew his arms and looked at Wang Lin with an indifferent gaze. The battle intent in his eyes didn't lessen but became even stronger as he said, in a serious tone, "Once you reach the Ascendant stage, you and I will battle again, 7th brother." Chen Dao took a deep breath and suppressed the violent celestial spiritual energy in his body. Wang Lin's attack was completely outside of Chen Dao's expectations. If it wasn't for the fact that he encountered some good fortune on the way back and reached the mid-stage of Ascendant, even though he could have withstood the blow, he would have definitely been injured. The All-Seer looked at Wang Lin. The admiration in his eyes became even stronger and he smiled. "Both of you belong to the Purple Division and are both my disciples, so don't hold a grudge against each other. Chen Dao, you won today, So you will be the Purple Division's true disciple. With that, the All-Seer pointed to the spot between his eyebrows and a crystal-clear purple crystal appeared from his forehead and landed in his hand. He then threw the crystal. It flew in a ray of purple light toward Chen Dao and entered the spot between Chen Dao's eyebrows. The All-Seer slowly said, "This isn't your first time obtaining the title, so slowly comprehend it yourself." Chen Dao took a deep breath, gave the All-Seer a deep bow, and respectfully said, "Disciple thanks Master." The All-Seer nodded, then his gaze fell on the surrounding cultivators. He clasped his hands and gently said, "Everyone, my birthday celebration is now considered finished. Fellow cultivators, if you don't have important matters to attend to, please rest at my Heavenly Fate sect for a few more days so we may talk about Tao and compare our understanding." Many of the surrounding cultivators responded politely, but almost all of them left immediately. In one day of time, tens of thousands of rays of light flew out of the Heavenly Fate sect and into the distance. Sword Saint Ling Qianhu let out a smile as he took a step and turned into a ray of light, flying off into the distance. As he flew away, he said, "Old man All-Seer, as per our promise, 3 months from now we will meet outside the gate to the East Demon Spirit Sea. You better have the people you will send in picked." The All-Seer's eyes became serious and he nodded. He turned toward Wang Lin and said, "Wang Lin, follow me to worship the ancestral spirit. Afterward, Master will teach you a forbidden spell and give you a life-saving treasure. After that you will be considered a real disciple under me." Wang Lin respectfully responded and his eyes lit up. Forbidden spell. Only after truly becoming a disciple of the All-Seer and worshipping the ancestral spirit can one study the forbidden spell that the All-Seer created from imitating a celestial spell. This is an opportunity that tens of thousands of people wished for. The All-Seer waved his sleeves and a 7-colored cloud appeared. The cloud wrapped around Wang Lin and took him away toward the main sect. Wang Lin was inside the cloud as it moved through the blue sky. The mountain and rivers under his feet passed by in a flash. After several breaths of time, the 7-colored cloud passed the various divisions of the Heavenly Fate sect and arrived outside the main sect. What appeared before Wang Lin was a world even more majestic than the celestial realm. 3 towering mountains extended above the clouds. The mountain in the middle was snow-white. When the sunlight hit the mountain, it created a blinding glare that caused anyone who looked at it to feel dizzy. There was greenery scattered all over the mountain, making it look even more magnificent. There was no road on the mountain, it was purely snow-white. This snow was 9 ghost snow, which won't melt for 10,000 years. It would be impossible for a mortal to get close, because if they came within 1,000 feet of the snow, their body would completely freeze. While Wang Lin was inside the 7-colored cloud, he could clearly feel the cold aura moving outside the cloud. Aside from the middle mountain, which was completely white, the other 2 mountains on the sides were black. Compared with the pure white of the mountain in the middle, this kind of black gave off a powerful sense of contrast. One by one the black snowflakes fell on the 2 mountains like they would never end. From a distance, the scene before him didn't look real, it was as if someone had used the power of the heavens and earth to draw a very striking black and white mountain and river painting. As Wang Lin took a meaningful look at the Heavenly Fate sect's main sect, his eyes gradually calmed down from the initial shock. The All-Seer waved his sleeves and the 7-colored cloud surrounding them suddenly disappeared. After the cloud disappeared, the cold aura rushed in and tried to invade Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's expression remained normal as the celestial spiritual energy inside his body moved, creating a light screen outside his body. The cold aura circled around the light screen for a bit before disappearing. The All-Seer had his hand behind his back as he looked at the 3 mountains and asked, "Wang Lin, what do you think about this place?" Wang Lin pondered a bit and then slowly said, "This place has a very powerful cold aura and is a great place to cultivate anything that requires cold and yin energy." The All-Seer faintly smiled and said, "Is that all?" Wang Lin lowered his head and respectfully said, "Disciple isn't knowledgeable enough to see any more." The All-Seer shook his head, then he looked at Wang Lin with a smile that was not a smile and said, "I always decide which forbidden spell each student will learn, but if you can see through the mysteries of this mountain, teacher will break the rules and let you choose whichever spell you want." "Wang Lin, are you tempted?" Wang Lin raised his head, looked at the All-Seer with a gentle expression, and said, "Since teacher orders it, how would disciple dare to not follow?" He pointed at the black mountain on the left with his right hand and said, "This mountain is completely black, even the snow that falls on it is black. However, this black snow is not cold, so when compared to the white snow in the middle, it gives off a strange atmosphere." The All-Seer's expression remained normal as he smiled and said, "Oh? Continue." Wang Lin pointed at the mountain on the right and said, "This mountain is even stranger, as I can detect a hint of life from it. Although almost everything has life, this is the first time disciple has felt the life of a mountain." The All-Seer's expression was still calm as he smiled and said, "Is that all? If this is all, you still don't have the right to pick a forbidden spell from Master." Wang Lin faintly smiled as he shook his head and said, "Master, those 2 mountains are fake." After he said that, a hint of shock appeared in the All-Seer's eyes. He took another look at Wang Lin before letting out a laugh. He waved his sleeves and took the two of them toward the middle mountain at lightning speed. This child's mental strength is far above others. To be able to find clues about my spell at the mid-stage of soul transformation is very rare. Wang Lin's expression was very normal, but his heart was shaking. When he saw the three mountains, a very old memory from ancient god Tusai appeared in his mind. That was the 9th time Tusai had refined a treasure, and it was the last time he did. This treasure was a trident. Tusai searched for endless amounts of materials before he finally finished refining it. He was very satisfied with the treasure, but it only took physical shape, it had no soul. Therefore, Tusai dripped some of his ancient god blood on it, threw it toward a big planet, and the trident turned into 3 heaven-piercing mountains. This way, the trident would become a mountain and slowly form a mountain soul. After that, he left. According to Tusai's plan, once he finished training his technique, he would come back to get the treasure. At that time, the mountain should have formed and he would have a top-quality treasure. The 3 mountains created by the trident were almost exactly the same as the 3 mountains Wang Lin was looking at now. But he immediately discarded the idea that this was the trident, because it was indeed, as he said earlier, 2 of the mountains were fake. However, the All-Seer's cultivation is heavenly. If he were to hide it, then it would be impossible for me to see through it at my current cultivation level. Wang Lin cleared his mind when they arrived at the foot of the mountain. Wang Lin, Master will wait for you up there. You can't use teleportation, and the faster you get up there, the better the reward will be. It won't be hard for you with your cultivation to travel 100 steps, but the 100 steps at the top will depend on your fortune. The 100 steps at the top are what Master calls the shattered land of the Celestials. The All-Seer turned around, took a step, and disappeared without a trace before Wang Lin. Wang Lin raised his head to look at the white mountain peak. There was an endless amount of white snow falling. If one looked up for too long, they would feel the illusion that countless sharp and white swords were coming down. After withdrawing his gaze, Wang Lin didn't immediately ascend the mountain but sat down to cultivate. After 1 incense stick of time, he opened his eyes. His eyes were completely calm. He then stood up and began to walk to the peak step by step. The cold wind howled and the snow chilled him to the bones. As Wang Lin walked, the cold aura got even stronger and the cold wind howled loudly and continued to blow on Wang Lin. There would be no footprints when one stepped on the white snow. The entire mountain was like a giant, white crystal. If a mortal had a treasure to protect them from the cold, they would have no way to continue because there was no place for them to get a foothold. But for Wang Lin, his feet never touched the mountain. He floated 3 inches above the mountain's surface as he worked his way up. It wasn't impossible to use teleportation here, but since the All-Seer said that this was a test, then using teleportation would mean he failed the test. This is why Wang Lin didn't teleport but calmly walked up the mountain step by step. The howl of the cold wind filled his ears, and the shining, white snow glared before him. Outside of his body was the cold aura that continued to try to invade him, and below his feet was an icy surface that one would slip on the moment they landed on it. Nevertheless, this kind of test was not something Wang Lin couldn't handle. Back in the land of the ancient god, he went through many places like this. Time slowly passed. As he got closer to the top, the cold aura became even stronger and the light around Wang Lin's body became even brighter. When he was 100 steps from the top, he stopped and didn't continue to move forward. He let out a deep breath, and at the moment he let it out, there were a series of crackling sounds. The breath was frozen into specks of ice 3 inches away from his mouth and gave off a crisp crackling sound. At the same time, the cold aura rushed into his mouth and nose. The aura only slowly disappeared with the help of the celestial spiritual energy inside his body. Wang Lin raised his head. 100 steps away, at the peak of the mountain, there was a tower covered in snow. The tower was giving off a 7-colored light and looked very beautiful. Shattered land of the Celestials? Wang Lin's eyes became cold. After pondering for a while, he descended. For the first time since he arrived, his 2 feet stepped on the mountain. At the moment his 2 feet touched the mountain, he felt like there was no friction at all. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he let out a cold snort and his right foot took a normal step forward. But with a boom, Wang Lin's right foot smashed 1 inch into the ground and created a solid foothold. Just at this moment, an unimaginably cold aura came from the ground. This cold aura was several times colder than what he had experienced before. The aura entered his body through his foot and rushed toward his chest through his veins. But just as the cold aura was moving through Wang Lin's body, a divine sense suddenly came from Wang Lin's origin soul. When this divine sense swept through his body, the cold aura strangely calmed down and moved back through his right foot to return to the mountain. This cold aura isn't colder than my heart. If it can't freeze my heart, how could it freeze my soul, my body? This is a joke. Wang Lin sneered as he took another step. The coldness on his face became the coldest thing on the mountain. The cold wind disappeared 3 inches away from him, and the cold snow disappeared 3 inches away from the top of his head. Wang Lin imprinted his foot into the mountain step by step as he walked directly toward the peak. The current him was able to do this not because his cultivation was strong enough to suppress the cold here, but because of the coldness in his heart. The coldness in his heart wouldn't melt and thus gave him an unyielding will. This was the state of purity of mind. My heart is cold, so no cold in the world can stop me for even half a second. Wang Lin's gaze was cold and the aura he gave off was cold. Right now he no longer felt human but gave off the aura of never-melting primordial ice. On the top of the tower at the peak of the mountain, the All-Seer sat there, looking at Wang Lin as he walked step by step toward the peak. His eyes shined brightly as he stared at Wang Lin and was lost in his thoughts. Originally, the All-Seer only thought that Wang Lin would take 10 steps into the shattered land of the Celestials before stopping. 10 steps was the limit of a mid-stage soul transformation cultivator. If Wang Lin could do that, he would bring Wang Lin to the tower to teach him a forbidden spell. But right now Wang Lin had already walked 21 steps, and this was the limit of a soul transformation cultivator. Only with the celestial spiritual energy of an ascendant cultivator could one take the 22nd step and not have their origin soul frozen. Even with the All-Seer's mental strength, he couldn't help but feel shock in his heart. Purity of mind, this child is purifying his mind here. Celestial cultivation, truth cultivation, and Tao cultivation, it seems this child has gained some enlightenment. His heart is cold, so no matter how cold something is, it can't affect his heart. Using this state, he was able to take 21 steps. Wang Lin, Master underestimated you. If you cultivate for more than 10,000 years, I wonder if you can reach the 3 realms of Nirvana. Wang Lin stopped after taking the 21st step. His entire body was now ice cold. My domain is a sliver of the comprehension of life and death under reincarnation. The Tao of reincarnation is one of the most ruthless Taos in existence. Behind Wang Lin, the sky changed colors and the snow falling behind him began to churn. Then a giant scroll suddenly appeared behind him. Rivers and mountains appeared on the scroll, however, there were no colors, only black and white. Wang Lin took a deep breath, raised his foot, and took the 22nd step. With this step, the entire mountain trembled and the ice below him cracked. This showed exactly how strong that step was. The All-Seer's eyes released a golden glow as he stood inside the tower. Back then, Sun Yun was able to take 26 steps with late-stage soul transformation cultivation. Wang Lin, how many steps can you take? Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and looked at the tower at the mountain peak. After pondering for a while, he raised his foot and took another step. This time he didn't just take 1 step, he took 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps. On the first step, Wang Lin raised his head and his eyes became cold. On the second step, his entire body was as cold as ice. On the third step, the life and death scroll behind him suddenly shrank and floated above his head. On the fourth step, Wang Lin was filled with energy as the coldness in his heart filled his body. This coldness fused with his domain to create a mysterious force, and with it he took the 5th step. After this 5th step, Wang Lin's gaze was like lightning as he looked at the tower on the mountain peak. He took 5 steps in a row, and every step he took would cause an echo of rumbling sounds from the mountain. After taking 5 steps, countless cracks appeared around Wang Lin, however, rather than collapsing, they began to mysteriously recover. 27 steps. The life and death scroll floating above Wang Lin went from being 3 inches above his head to entering his head and completely fusing with his origin soul. At this moment, a shocking aura suddenly came out from Wang Lin's body. His long hair moved without any wind, and the snow around him began to swirl as it was pushed away from him. Domain. It is something one comprehends when reaching the soul formation stage, and then one gains understanding of it over the 3 stages of the soul formation stage before it can take physical form. By then, one only needs enough cultivation and celestial jades to refine one's body from a mortal body to a celestial body. Then, after one's origin soul completely fuses with their body, they can reach the soul transformation stage. One's domain will become a completely corporeal existence when they comprehend that at the soul transformation stage. However, this process doesn't happen instantly but gradually over time. Wang Lin's life and death domain was a very rare domain, and it was very hard to make it corporeal. Up until now, Wang Lin only had a vague understanding of how to make it corporeal, he still hadn't grasped the key points. If he continued like this, then his chance of reaching the ascendant stage was slim. But today, at the shattered land of the Celestials, his domain and his purity of mind fused, allowing him to take 5 more steps from his original 22-step limit. These 5 steps were steps down the road of Tao filled with the determination of not looking back. If he didn't take a step, it would be fine, but if he did, then he had to surpass those before him. Using this moment, Wang Lin was able to take an important step forward in making his domain corporeal. Although this step didn't increase his understanding of his domain much or increase his cultivation much, it paved a very important road toward reaching the ascendant stage. Domain enters the body. In the tower, the All-Seer took a deep breath and said, "This child has hope of reaching the ascendant stage within 100 years. 27 steps. Wang Lin pondered. He could feel that 27 steps was the limit. In truth, on the 25th step, his Tao and domain reached their current limit, but due to his domain entering his body and the enlightenment he obtained, he was able to take a few more steps to reach the 27-step total. Wang Lin knew that he wasn't able to take the 28th step. If he were to take that step, all of his cultivation would disappear and even his origin soul would shatter. Just at this moment, the 7-colored light at the top of the tower started shining brightly and turned into 7 halos of light that surrounded the entire mountain. In that instant, all of the coldness surrounding the mountain suddenly disappeared. The ice before Wang Lin began to glow with a 7-colored light, and a 7-colored rainbow flew out from the ground before him. "Come up to see me." The All-Seer's voice came from the tower at the peak, and it was filled with majesty. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he took a deep breath and adjusted his cultivation a bit before stepping onto the rainbow. With one step, he stepped onto the rainbow, and with the second step, he crossed the remaining 70-plus steps to arrive at the foot of the tower. This was a very ordinary-looking tower. At this moment, rays of 7-colored light gathered at the foot of the tower and formed into the All-Seer. "The ancestor of my heavenly fate sect isn't a cultivator but this heaven fate spell. The only thing I seek is the heaven's fate. Fate spells can be created by the heavens and by humans, but no matter what, fate is the key. I just happened to pass planet Suzaku when you were comprehending your domain. I saw you following your domain to its origin, and I was tempted by my love of talent to accept you as a disciple. This means there was fate between us, the fate of master and disciple. I, the All-Seer, have followed the heaven's fate my entire life, and thus I accepted you as my disciple." At this point, the All-Seer paused and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was respectful. He just stood there and remained silent. "You walking 27 steps was outside my expectations. You didn't disappoint me." The All-Seer withdrew his gaze, raised his hand, and grasped at the air. With a ripping sound echoing in the area, the sky was split in half by that casual grasp, creating a huge rift. 7-colored light came out from the rift and covered the entire sect. Right now the main sect and the 3 mountains were covered by this 7-colored light. At the same time, the 7 divisions each released a colored halo matching their division. At this moment, a portion of planet Tianyun was covered in this 7-colored light. At the source of all this 7-colored light, the rift, the All-Seer exuded a 7-colored aura and smiled. "For my whole life, I've loved the 7-color the most. If you add the black and white from the 3 mountains here, the 9 colors together is the most beautiful scene in the world." With that, the All-Seer's expression became serious. At this moment, all the gentleness from before was gone and was replaced with majesty. He looked at Wang Lin and shouted, "Wang Lin, kneel." Without a word, Wang Lin quickly kneeled and raised his head to look at the All-Seer. The All-Seer's right hand pointed at Wang Lin and he shouted, "Today I, the All-Seer, accept Wang Lin as the Purple Division's 7th disciple under the 9 colors. Wang Lin, are you willing to become my disciple, follow the sect rules, not betray the heavenly fate sect, focus on cultivation, walk down the path of Grand Tao, and complete your Tao? You answer me." Wang Lin's eyes became serious. He revealed a determined look and said, "As long as Master doesn't betray me, I won't betray Master. As long as the heavenly fate sect doesn't betray me, I won't betray the heavenly fate sect. This is my, Wang Lin's, promise." The All-Seer's eyes narrowed, and he carefully looked at Wang Lin before slowly nodding. His left hand reached out toward the rift and the entire sky suddenly trembled. A giant, 7-colored altar slowly descended from the sky. This altar was too big. When only a piece of it descended, there was a series of crackling sounds. It was as if the ground couldn't hold its weight. There were countless 7-colored wooden tablets on the altar. At this moment, with a wave of the All-Seer's left hand, a wooden tablet flew out and landed in his palm. The All-Seer's nail was like a knife as he quickly carved something onto the tablet. Planet Tianyun, 1st year of Yenwu, Wang Lin was accepted as the 7th disciple of the Purple Division. With that, the All-Seer threw the tablet and then it burned into purple flames. It flew back in a ray of purple light back to the altar. "Now I will teach you a forbidden technique. What kind do you want to learn?" When the All-Seer's question landed in his ears, Wang Lin pondered. All forbidden spells are derived from celestial spells, so there are great differences in power between each forbidden spell. Some forbidden spells are derived from mid-quality celestial spells. These spells are a lot more powerful than forbidden spells derived from low-quality celestial spells. In fact, their power might not be that much weaker than a real low-quality celestial spell. Also, if there are spells that are derived from high-quality celestial spells, they are not any weaker than low-quality celestial spells, they may be even stronger. In the end, the power of a forbidden spell depends on the quality of the celestial spell it is derived from. Wang Lin wasn't short on offensive spells. Whether it was the 3 killing spells from Sichu Nan or the War Chariot with the first seal released, they were all attacking methods. In addition to those, he still had the celestial sword and the half-moon blade. The half-moon blade might just be one of Wang Lin's most important treasures. As for escape spells, with the teleportation restriction, he wasn't worried. Although it takes a bit of time to use, once used, its power is extraordinary. As for when he is in space, he has the Silver Dragon Compass, so his speed there isn't slower than anyone else's. However, this is all comparing to Ascendant-level cultivators. The power one obtains when their cultivation passes the Ascendant stage and reaches the 2 Yin and Yang stages, or past those to the 3 Nirvana stages, is not something Wang Lin can imagine right now. The All-Seer didn't break Wang Lin's train of thought. He silently stared into the distance without any hint of impatience. This was Wang Lin's first choice. The All-Seer wanted to see what kind of spell this child would pick. Shortly after, Wang Lin raised his head to look up at the All-Seer and slowly said, "Disciple wants to learn a survival spell." "Survival?" The All-Seer looked at Wang Lin and smiled. "How do you want to survive?" Wang Lin's voice was calm as he slowly said, "As long as there is a hint of life, I would be able to survive and continue my pursuit of the Grand Tao." The All-Seer faintly smiled as he shook his head and said, "Master doesn't have a spell like that." Wang Lin pondered and didn't speak. The All-Seer pondered a bit before saying, "Forget it. To ask you to choose is to let your own fortune do the work, but for me to ask you is your master's mistake. Your fate can't be found with a question, it will depend on your own fortune. Now master will open the door to 3,600 forbidden spells. You can go pick one yourself." With that, the All-Seer raised his right hand and pointed at Wang Lin at an unimaginable speed. Wang Lin only saw a 7-colored door open up as the All-Seer's finger pointed toward him, then his body flew toward the door without his consent. He gradually moved through the door. What appeared before Wang Lin was a 7-colored world. This place was boundless, but there were 3,600 identical All-Seers here. They were either sitting in the lotus position, cultivating, or battling. The 3,600 All-Seers were scattered across this world and cultivating their own spells. Every spell was different. Wang Lin silently stood there, watching all the different All-Seers. At first glance, Wang Lin saw an All-Seer standing in the distance. This All-Seer's hands formed seals and moved in an unpredictable manner. Rays of metal celestial spiritual energy appeared from his hand. The metal celestial energy formed a giant vortex. 1 turn, 2 turns, soon it easily reached 9 turns. At this moment, a power that shocked Wang Lin's heart slowly came out from the vortex. This power was very strong. 9-cycle celestial refining tactic. Wang Lin looked at it for a bit before looking at the next one. He saw another All-Seer sitting in the lotus position 300 feet away. His eyes weren't closed, they were releasing a bright light. Strands of black gas were floating out from his body and gathering above his head. More and more black gas gathered above his head until a black cloud was formed. The black cloud suddenly began to churn like crazy and then immediately descended from above and surrounded that All-Seer. There were hissing sounds coming from the black cloud before it suddenly moved and disappeared into the distance in the blink of an eye. Forbidden spell, Immortal Demon Body. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin isn't in a rush as he checked out all 3,600 forbidden spells one by one. In the distance, there was a white-robed All-Seer whose eyes were releasing a mysterious light. He raised his right hand and released a 7-colored glow. His eyes flashed purple and then the purple from the light in his hand flew out and disappeared into the void. A shockwave echoed in his heart as Wang Lin silently watched this scene before him. He didn't know how long he had been here, and of the 3,600 spells, he had seen a majority of them. However, out of all of them, only this one had shocked him to this degree. This spell was very powerful. But that was not the key point. The key point was that this spell was based on the 7-colored light. It has to be said that the All-Seer liked the 7-colored light the most, so a spell based on it couldn't be weak. Wang Lin looked for a very long time before turning around and never looking at it again. In a very inconspicuous part of this 7-colored world, there was a wide, empty area with only a grey-robed All-Seer sitting there. There was no sign of any celestial spiritual energy fluctuations, he just sat there cultivating with his eyes closed. Wang Lin only took one look as he passed by him and then jumped over this area. However, just as he jumped over, he suddenly stopped, turned around, and carefully inspected this All-Seer that was cultivating. Grey, the All-Seer likes the 7-color, and the 9-color is the apex, so where did grey come from? Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light. The more he looked, the brighter his eyes became. Although this All-Seer looked exactly the same as all the other ones, Wang Lin was able to tell at a glance this one seemed a bit younger. A younger All-Seer, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He sat down in a lotus position and then stared at the grey-robed All-Seer. He sat there for several days. During these several days, the grey-robed All-Seer didn't move, it was as if time had stopped. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin was still silently sitting there, but he still hadn't seen this All-Seer move an inch. Strange. Wang Lin revealed a pondering expression as he raised his right hand and moved it very rapidly, creating afterimages. Soon, an illusionary restriction appeared in his hand and turned into a black seal. He hit the seal, then it quickly flew at the grey-robed All-Seer, who was still silently sitting there. This was the first time he attacked since coming here. The restriction flew through the air and went right through the grey-robed All-Seer. The All-Seer didn't move at all and disappeared along with the restriction. Wang Lin was startled. He spread out his divine sense to carefully check the surrounding area but found no trace of the grey-robed All-Seer. Strange. Wang Lin frowned. He pondered for a bit before spreading out his divine sense and searching this seven-colored world at lightning speed. An unknown amount of time passed. On this day, while Wang Lin was flying, his expression suddenly changed and he turned to the left without any hesitation. Not long after, Wang Lin stopped and saw an All-Seer sitting in the lotus position 1,000 feet before him. He was wearing a grey robe. This was the strange, grey-robed All-Seer that Wang Lin had been looking for these past several days. Wang Lin quickly flew over and stopped 100 feet before him. He pondered for a bit before slapping his bag of holding. The celestial sword appeared in his hand. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and without a word, he swung the sword. A ray of sword energy shot out, and the half-moon blade followed it. The speed of the half-moon blade was unimaginable. In the blink of an eye, the half-moon blade pierced through the chest of the grey-robed All-Seer. However, it didn't do any harm to him. It was as if his existence was just an illusion. The sword energy that followed shortly after also just went directly through the grey-robed All-Seer and flew off into the distance. Just at this moment, killing intent came from the grey-robed All-Seer. This killing intent was very powerful. It was almost monstrous enough to reach the heavens. In almost the blink of eye, the killing intent filled the surrounding area and quickly spread. Far in the distance, all the other All-Seers that were practicing their spells stopped and looked over in this direction with mysterious lights in their eyes. At this moment, in this seven-colored world, all the other All-Seers felt the change that happened here. The other All-Seers immediately flew over here, and in the blink of an eye, all of them arrived within 5,000 kilometers of the grey-robed All-Seer. Seal! A shout came from all the All-Seers within 5,000 kilometers. An unimaginable and mysterious power suddenly appeared. It descended from the heavens like a giant net and quickly rushed toward the grey-robed All-Seer to seal him. The grey-robed All-Seer revealed a sneer as he raised his head and only said one word, "Scram!" With one word, the sky changed colors and the giant net shattered. An unimaginable killing intent quickly swept across 5,000 kilometers. All the All-Seers within 5,000 kilometers were quickly forced to retreat. Soon, they retreated tens of thousands of kilometers. At this moment, only a few All-Seers remained within 5,000 kilometers of the grey-robed All-Seer. These All-Seers were the ones that possessed powerful forbidden spells. Under the assault of this killing intent, Wang Lin was immediately soaked in cold sweat. This killing intent was countless times stronger than his original bodies. It was like comparing the shining moon to a firefly. They were simply not comparable. Before, Wang Lin believed that his original body's killing intent was the strongest, but now this grey-robed All-Seer was the one with the most powerful killing intent he had ever seen. However, this wasn't what shocked Wang Lin the most. What shocked him the most was that when all the other All-Seers rushed over, he clearly felt with his divine sense that all 3,600 All-Seers had arrived. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly stared at the cold-faced All-Seer. He was the 3601th. There is one extra. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Just at this moment, the grey-robed All-Seer suddenly opened his eyes. This was the first time he opened his eyes. He had a pair of grey eyes. He looked at Wang Lin but didn't say a word. However, when this gaze fell on him, Wang Lin felt his origin soul shake and his ears filled with roaring thunder. Don't bother me. Wang Lin's origin soul shook violently, and he lost awareness of his surroundings. When he regained his senses, the grey-robed All-Seer had disappeared without a trace. Strange. Wang Lin's expression darkened and he silently pondered for a bit. Then he spread out his divine sense and began to search again. He gave up on checking all the remaining All-Seers for their spells and began searching for this strange, grey-robed All-Seer. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin searched with all his might and was able to meet the grey-robed All-Seer once again. Every time he tried, none of his attacks had any effect, and the grey-robed All-Seer would disappear without a trace. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find out how the grey-robed All-Seer disappeared. Until the 6th time. To be exact, the 6th time wasn't Wang Lin who found the grey-robed All-Seer, but the grey-robed All-Seer found Wang Lin. On this day, Wang Lin had already given up on searching and decided to learn that seven-colored spell. That spell was what he considered the best spell here. He silently stood before the All-Seer that demonstrated the seven-colored spell. Just as he let out a sigh and was about to decide, a voice entered his ears like a cold breeze. Are you the All-Seer's disciple? Wang Lin was startled as he slowly turned around to look behind him. The grey-robed All-Seer appeared like a ghost 10 feet behind him. At the same time, the All-Seer that was practicing the 7-colored spell stopped showing off the spell and raised his head to look at the grey-robed All-Seer. The grey-robed All-Seer glared at the other All-Seer, causing the other All-Seer to retreat and disappear off into the distance as if he dreaded the grey-robed All-Seer. Wang Lin nodded and said, "Yes, I am." "Why are you here?" The grey-robed All-Seer's voice was still cold. Wang Lin calmly said, "To pick a forbidden spell." Forbidden spell. The grey-robed All-Seer revealed a look of disdain, then he looked at Wang Lin and said, "It is very rare for him to let someone in here. I'm afraid it was for me." Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he asked, "Senior is?" The grey-robed All-Seer didn't respond to Wang Lin's question but carefully examined Wang Lin and calmly said, "Display your domain." Wang Lin frowned but then immediately relaxed and brought out his life and death domain. Shortly after, the domain turned into black and white light above his head and then suddenly merged to form the life and death scroll. The grey-robed All-Seer's eyes lit up, then he nodded and said, "Attack me." Without a word, Wang Lin raised his hand and the life and death scroll suddenly appeared in his grasp, then he suddenly pulled it open. The current him was like the heavens controlling the life and death domain. He looked at the grey-robed All-Seer and said, "Life and death, reincarnation." With that, strands of grey gas came out from the black and white mountain and river painting on the life and death scroll. The strands of grey gas were like vicious dragons as they charged toward the grey-robed All-Seer. The grey-robed All-Seer's eyes revealed a grey glow that pierced through space and landed in Wang Lin's eyes. As for the grey gas that was charging toward the grey-robed All-Seer like fierce dragons, it silently collapsed before him. Life and death domain. The grey-robed All-Seer looked Wang Lin and said, "The All-Seer's reason for letting you come here is probably for you to get my celestial slaughter art. He probably wanted to see if you were fated to learn this spell. The celestial slaughter art isn't a celestial spell, it's imitated from a celestial spell of unknown rank. This celestial tactic is a very good match for your life and death domain. However, for you to learn my celestial slaughter art, you have to promise me one thing." Wang Lin's expression was calm as he said, "Speak." The grey-robed All-Seer's eyes were cold as he slowly said, "Once you use the celestial slaughter art, you must not leave your enemies alive. If you can promise me that, I'll teach it you." Wang Lin pondered a bit, then he faintly smiled and shook his head. "I won't learn it." With that, he clasped his hands at the grey-robed All-Seer and turned around to leave. The grey-robed All-Seer's eyes lit up. He waved his right hand and a strand of grey gas suddenly appeared in his palm. This strand of grey gas was like a sharp sword. With a casual wave, the grey gas shot out toward Wang Lin with a loud shrill. Wang Lin suddenly turned around. His eyes were calm as he stared at grey-robed All-Seer. The grey gas passed by Wang Lin and landed on an All-Seer that was practicing a spell more than 10,000 feet away. The All-Seer didn't even have a chance to dodge, the grey gas hit him directly. Then his body trembled and disappeared into a cloud of smoke. At the same time, a ray of grey light flew back from the cloud of smoke to the grey-robed All-Seer, revealing it to be a complex seal. The grey-robed All-Seer calmly said, "This seal is formed by the celestial slaughter art. Using the killing road to obtain life force and having the life force circle you to form life seals. The more of these seals you have, the stronger your defense. I have millions of these seals on me, so even if planet Qianyun explodes, I'll be fine. You don't want to learn this spell?" Wang Lin pondered a bit before asking, "Why must I learn it?" The grey-robed All-Seer coldly said, "You are the 6th person the All-Seer has sent in. I don't like the number 7, but I also have a promise with the All-Seer. However, if you still want to pass, then forget it." Wang Lin looked at the person before him and suddenly said, "What is your relationship with my master?" The grey-robed All-Seer coldly looked at Wang Lin. He waved his right hand and a strand of grey gas formed into a jade before disappearing without a trace. Wang Lin revealed a pondering expression. Shortly after, he grabbed the jade formed by the grey gas. At the moment he touched the jade, the 7-colored world around him suddenly changed. It was as if the world was turning upside down and his vision went blurry. When he regained his vision, he was back on the top of the tower. Before him, the All-Seer revealed a mysterious light in his eyes. He stared at the jade in Wang Lin's hand and stroked his beard. "Celestial slaughter art, good." Wang Lin didn't speak, but he slowly frowned. The All-Seer looked at Wang Lin and laughed. "Don't think too much about it. That person is your master's second origin soul. I cultivated it back when I was young. However, during the time I was at the yin and yang stage, due to a few matters, I had to split from him. The celestial slaughter art matches the survival that you wished for." Wang Lin pondered a bit before putting the jade away. He didn't believe everything the All-Seer said, but Wang Lin was very cunning, so he didn't show any of it on his face as he nodded. The All-Seer reached out into the void and a ray of purple light immediately appeared. The purple light turned into a purple ring. After carefully looking at the ring, he threw it at Wang Lin and said, "This light is made of the purple light from the 7-colored light." It will be your life-saving treasure. This treasure can block the full power of a late-stage Ascendant cultivator twice. However, you must remember that if you break the sect rules, I'll remove one attack from it. Break the rules twice and this treasure will have no effect. The second disciple of the Purple Division that was killed by you used his life-saving treasure one time in all these countless years and then broke the sect rules once. Otherwise, there would be no way for you to so easily obtain his origin soul. However, because it was him who acted first multiple times to attack you, I won't pursue this matter. But Wang Lin, remember that there won't be a second time. Wang Lin accepted the ring. Instead of putting it on his finger, he put it inside his bag of holding and said, "Thank you, Master." The All-Seer nodded, then he waved his sleeves and said, "I have taught you a forbidden spell and given you a life-saving treasure. You can go back." With that, he turned around and walked toward the tower. Wang Lin took a few steps back before suddenly raising his head and saying, "Master, disciple wants to leave the sect to train." The All-Seer didn't turn around, but his voice came. "A disciple of my Heavenly Fate sect can only leave the sect to train if they leave as a messenger. Take my token to the Star Service Court and pick a cultivation country below rank 6 to be a messenger to. However, don't be late to the Eastern Demon Sea in 3 months." With that, the All-Seer's figure walked into the tower and disappeared without a trace. A white token flew out of the tower and landed in Wang Lin's hand. At the same time, a gentle force began to spread out from the tower and pushed Wang Lin off the mountain. More than 50 kilometers away, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light as he looked at the black and white mountains one more time before quickly leaving. The Star Service Court was above the Red Division. After Wang Lin left the main sect, he didn't waste any time and charged directly toward the Red Division. Red light continued to be emitted from the peak of the Red Division's mountain, covering the area and making it look like a sea of blood. Wang Lin's figure quickly flew toward the Red Division. Just as he was about to enter, he heard a cold voice shout, "Incoming person, stop!" Wang Lin didn't speak a word as he threw the token the All-Seer gave him and charged into the Red Division. When the person who shouted saw the token, he let out a cold snort but didn't stop Wang Lin from charging in. After Wang Lin entered, the space rippled and a middle-aged man wearing red walked out. He coldly looked at where Wang Lin disappeared to and muttered to himself, "Seventh brother of the Purple Division." Shortly after, Wang Lin left the Red Division and looked toward the west. Rank 5 cultivation country, Lin